Hello everybody, Josh S.H.I.E.L.D back here again with another video, and I'm here with another top 5 list. It's that time of the week again, so let's get right down into this week's top 5 list. Now, as you may or may not know, I started a new segment in my top 5 list of the week, which of course consists of my normal top 5s, talking about the best of the best, ranking what I consider to be the best of certain things that I'm talking about in that certain week. And of course I have my top 5 Batman v Superman ones, where I dedicate specific top 5 list to Batman, Superman, and or Wonder Woman. But this time, I created a new top 5 list some weeks ago, which is titled the Top 5 Worst List, which I finally dedicated to things that I downright hate. I downright despise. What I consider to be shit. And now I'm back again with another one of those lists. Last time I did my top 5 worst DC comic book movies, and as I stated, with those lists, with those videos, I was not going to leave out Marvel. Yes, I have a Marvel list. This week I give you my top 5 worst Marvel comic book movies. Now, of course, I do have a specific criteria for this list. I will not be including any of the MCU movies because I do have a particular idea of what I want to do for those kind of lists, so that will be included in future top 5s, but for now, I will not be including any of the MCU movies, any of the Marvel Studios movies included into this list, and also, I will not be including any movies that were ever supposed to be seen by people. Essentially, movies that were never released. So, of course, the definitive original Fantastic Four movie is not going to be part of this list. I know that would be automatically number 1 for everyone under the sun, but for this particular criteria, I will not be including that one, even though it's a whopping fucking gigantic hunk of shit. With that being said, let's start up in this top 5. As always, it's subjective, it's my personal list, my personal thoughts, so of course in the comments section below, give me what your top 5 lists are of the worst Marvel comic book movies of all time. But that being said, coming up at number 5 has to go to Fan4Stick, of course the newest movie that came out recently, and it is terrible. It's directed by Josh Trank, it's done by Fox, and I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but they just fucked it up all over again. Now granted, the Fantastic Four franchise has not had a really good footing in the comic book genre. They just really can't, they just cannot get a break, and I really had high hopes. Like, for me personally, I was like a believer. Like, I was like one of those idiotic Justin Bieber fans, or whatever the hell they want to, believers, or whatever the fuck. I was that for Fantastic Four, the one that came out just recently, and it was the complete opposite of what I was hoping it to be. I thought it was awesome and dark and gritty. I thought it was going to be, a completely makeover for the Fantastic Four franchise that it desperately needed, and it did the complete polar opposite of that. And I know it's a recent film, and usually most of the horrible Marvel movies are like the older ones, but I'm just saying, like, that was such a terrible experience watching it that it has to be on this list. It's just so god-awful. Now, I know there's some people out there, some, like, super-duper fucking hardcore comic book fans that will defend it, and there's nothing wrong with defending it, but it's a fucking hunk of shit. There's no denial in that. It fucking sucks. I'm not gonna blame Josh Trank, I'm not gonna blame the cast, but I just want to blame them anyways, because, I don't want to, but I gotta, because the movie sucks. But moving off of that, going into number 4 has to go to the 1980s The Punisher movie, obviously starring Dolph Lundgren. Now, I've never been a fan of the guy. I never thought he was that really important. I never really understood the general interest that Hollywood had when putting that guy into movies. However, when you think of the character of Frank Castle, the Punisher, and you think of the persona and skills, I guess if you could call it that, to Dolph Lundgren, you would think that's a match made in heaven. That would be awesome. Fucking Dolph Lundgren as Frank Castle, Punisher, killing motherfuckers, just bullying people with a fucking leather jacket and gunning motherfuckers. That would have been awesome. Unfortunately, it's the polar opposite of that. It's complete shit. It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't even have a Skull t-shirt, for God's sake. And Dolph Lundgren, he's a robot. He has to be a robot because he's not a great actor. I never really liked him. But if there was one specific comic book character that doesn't need the greatest of actors, it's Frank Castle, the Punisher. And that's not really me trying to put that character down. I'm pretty sure John Bernthal in Daredevil Season 2 on the Netflix series, he's going to kill it, I hope. But Dolph Lundgren, on the other hand, completely destroyed it, and it didn't make any sense, and the movie's just crap, and maybe when you go back and watch it, it's like, it's a pretty interesting watch, but overall, it's just one of those movies that existed, but you don't have to go back and watch. It's just god-awful. But moving off of that, going to number 3 on this list, has to go to the 1990s Captain America. Now, for me personally, I love Spider-Man. I really freaking do. However, Captain America is my number 1 freaking superhero comic book character from the Marvel Universe. That's just my personal opinion. Sorry, Spidey. But back in the 90s, it was just not a great time for comic book movies. It wasn't. It was a terrible time for comic book superhero genre, and this movie is definitely a product of its time. It's crap, it's colorful, it's cheesy, it feels like a freaking crappy ass porn movie in circa 1979. It's so god awful and terrible. It doesn't do the Captain America character justice, which of course Chris Evans and Marvel Studios did much superior in their movies, of course, like in First Avenger and especially Winter Soldier, and of course the Avenger movies. But this one, it's just one of those movies that you watched as a kid and you loved it. You really freaking loved it, because this was the only kind of great Marvel movies you had when you were a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, those were the 1990s like Marvel movies, particularly Captain America, were the kind of movies that I had to love when you were a Marvel fan, because there was no real great movies at that time. Like, there was no such thing as a Marvel Cinematic Universe. There wasn't fucking Iron Man. There wasn't any of that shit. You had those kind of crap old fucking toys. It was a toilet bowl of nonsense. It's crap. It just sucks. I mean, granted, I have like a soft heart for it because I love the character of Captain America so much, and I watched that movie back when I was a kid a lot, but it doesn't hold up. It's not that great. It's very cheesy. It's just god awful. It just doesn't do justice. It doesn't do a great American justice to the Captain America persona. But that being said, and moving off of that, going to number 2 on this list of crappy ass Marvel movies has to go to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, before Marvel Studios, before the Marvel Universe as a whole pretty much changed Nick Fury into a black guy, specifically Samuel L. Jackson, which is actually fact. They actually, took his template, the way he looks and how he acts, into the template of the design of whatever. You know what I mean. But overall, before Sam Jackson started killing it in the Avenger movies, we had David Hasselhoff play Nick Fury. And I don't know how to express my feelings for this film. I remember watching it on TV back in the day when the Marvel Universe was nothing, and that was, once again, just one of those many Marvel comic book movies that you had to watch just to get your Marvel hopes up. This just did not do justice. It's just David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. In your head, like, if you're making a fan film, it kind of makes sense, but as a legitimate film, it just falls apart. It doesn't make any sense. It's just god-awful. It's just weird. It's stupid. I don't even know what to say about it. I watched it a long time ago. I don't want to watch it again. Just thinking about it aggravates me. Just watch Sam Jackson kill it on fucking Captain America movies and Avengers movies, because that's where Nick Fury is being done justice. But that being said, let's get some honorable mentions on this list. Let's put it out there. Let's put out some honorable mentions of terrible Marvel movies that did not get on this list. Obviously, let's get to Spider-Man 3. Terrible movie. Sorry, Sam Raimi. Of course, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. X-Men Last Stand. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Let's see what else is out there that's complete crap for Marvel. Obviously, the Ghost Rider movies, both of them. Hell, the original Fantastic Four movie. Hell, even the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies. Fantastic Four 1 and 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer. Daredevil, I even put it in there, even though I kind of like it to a certain extent, but it still kind of sucked. Generation X. There's just a lot of crappy-ass Marvel movies. Once again, not including the MCU movies, but those are just to name a few of shit movies. But moving off of that, none comes close to my number 1 pick. And my number 1 pick has to go to Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is blasphemy to comic book fans, I guess, at least in my subjective opinion. Now, I know for a fact there is a hardcore Howard the Duck fan base out there. I know that. And there's also a cult following for this particular movie. However, I just never understood the appeal of Howard the Duck, even back in the day when he was a comic book character, before, James Gunn made it cool to like Howard the Duck, I guess. I just never understood the character. I thought it was stupid. I mean, like, that duck who's wearing a freaking tuxedo and a fucking cigar is a part of the Spider-Man universe? He's a part of the overall Marvel universe? How is that possible? Can someone, like, make that not be a thing? I want to sue somebody. But it's just the way it is, and George Lucas and company decided, let's make a movie on that, and they made this thing. I don't know what it is. I don't want to think about it. All it is a puppet doing a lot of weird. It's kind of like Fritz the Cat, except unfunny. And if it was live action, I think that's the best way you can put it. It's basically Fritz the Cat, except with a duck, a fucking duck who's just a wackadoo, and he's playing music or something. He has nothing to... I don't know. Why did they make a movie on Howard the Duck? I fucking don't know. But they did, and it's a complete piece of shit movie. I never liked it. I never even liked the comic book character of Howard the Duck. If the only way someone can make me like Howard the Duck is unless James Gunn today on Twitter was like, you know what? We're making a fucking movie. Spin-off. Guardians of the Galaxy spin-off, Howard the Duck the movie. And he's directing and writing it. Then maybe I can fucking get into it. But as of right now, I never liked the character. I never liked this movie. Every time I think about it, it just aggravates me that it exists and that it was a thing. And I just wish people would stop defending something that's just complete shit. But that being said, that's my top 5 list of the worst Marvel comic book movies. There was a lot of freaking crap movies. These are just to name a few. Let me know what's your personal top 5 list of shitty-ass Marvel movies that are not including the MCU movies, because I do have a specific list for that in future top 5. But that being said, comment below. Let me know what you personally think. And of course, I do have a plus to this. I will be doing a top 5 best Marvel comic book movies. My personal opinion / subjective list of what I consider to be the best of the Marvel movies. Of course, once again, not including the MCU movies. But that being said, let me know what you personally think about this list. I personally hate these movies. I mean, come on. Fantastic sucks. Punisher sucks, Captain America, the 1990 version sucks, and of course, David Hasselhoff is Nick Fury. Really? Come on. And then you have Howard the Duck. Let's be honest. Like, did anybody really like it? I know there's some people out there, but I don't want to talk about it. It just sucks. Just admit it. It sucks. But that being said, let me know what you personally think. But that also, on the flip side of that, I will also be doing more top 5s dedicated to worst lists. And of course, if anybody out there has a specific request or recommendation or of specific things that you would like me to call out on that sucks in my top 5 worst list, let me know personally what you personally think about that. But that being said, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John12. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been John12.